Alright, today in our video we're going to probably work on some of the electrical side of this unit, and we're also going to figure out where this is going to be mounted, and I'll go over what this all is and how it's going to end up working. Alright, so what we have right here is this is your breaker. So if something were to happen, this would trip it, so that way you can just reset it instead of having a big fuse and having to try to find and replace that. And then we have your fuse box here, and your negatives, grounds all go here, your positives go here with your fuses, and your power comes in here. Out of that, we're gonna end up coming out of here, and this is actually gonna end up going to the switch on the switch panel, and then down to here. And then this is just a like a control, almost like a thermostat that we're gonna mount into near the engine, so that way it comes on and comes off. But so then you have your power coming into your switch here, out of here goes to your relay. You have two of them, that's your power for your coil, then the other one's your feed for your switch. You obviously have your ground here, black, and your other red wire on this is going to be for your switch, so whatever you're switching on and off. So that's going to be there, and then this will be nice because then once this is on here, we can go ahead and just slide our other relay that is just hanging down in here. So we can do that, hook that on there. But all this stuff's gonna end up sitting right down in here. I got this floor on here. I had my brother over the other day so we could kind of talk about it. And we got a plan to make this whole thing easier to deal with. And one thing is we're gonna take a straight edge down along this front piece here, and we're just gonna cut that whole thing. This is going to be supported. I mean, not that it really matters, because this, all it is going to be is this little bit, and it's supported underneath here. And we might have to put a bolt or something in underneath here to help do that, just to help hold a little bit of pressure there, but not a big deal on that. And then as far as this floor goes, there is a bar right here that stuff already will sit on, so it'll have something holding it there, and then something holding it back in here as well. So not too big of a deal with that. And then that'll make it so when we want to take the battery off, you know, this is going to be cut all the way down through here. This will all stay mounted, so you don't have to worry about taking that off. And then you'll just be able to pull this section right here, slide it out. So that should be a lot easier. I might include that in this video of getting that done. The other thing we did is we worked on figuring out where this fan's going to go. So this is probably going to end up being the location of the fan, somewhere in here. Whether that's, you know, over one way a little bit, I think I can just take and notch some of this plastic out of here, and then we'll just bolt this straight to this piece of metal here, and it'll sit right in there. And then probably just drill some holes or cut some slits in this to help the air get through there. So that's going to be there. And then I have one other fan that came with the kit, and it might kind of just go right in here over some of this mesh. We'll see. I'm not really sure if I'm going to need it. I already have the one fan for the hydraulic cooler right there, so I don't really imagine I'm going to need another one. But if we do, it's there. I have some of the wiring already kind of done and figured out. so I did that kind of off camera. I got four power feeds to go up to the top, you know, one for the lights, one for the fan, one for the horn, and then I don't know if I'm just gonna have a spare or what, but maybe nothing, I don't know, but it'll at least be up there. So then those are already all routed through here, and they're ready to go back onto this plate once I get that mounted in. The other thing I did was, since this thing had an hour meter and a voltmeter, and if you remember, we got rid of the voltmeter that was already on it, which looked, you know, about like that there, here. So now our voltmeter is going to be right here. So this is just a USB port. So you never know, you're working on something, you want to plug your phone in, then you can. It's kind of silly. Why wouldn't you do it while you're sitting here doing everything? But so what we did is, like you can see here, this is for the hour meter. So that can get plugged in. And then I took the wires that did the voltmeter and I just put spade ends on them. So then that will, I'll try to show you. They'll plug in to these other ends I have right here. And that'll give me my voltage reading. And the other thing that's going to do is when I rewire these switches, is I'll come off of one of these, since this is on with the ignition, and it'll just be these to feed the lights on all this stuff. But so we got that there, and then we can just plug the key in. I'll show you. Flip the battery switch on, keys on. So that's what we got, just like it was factory. 12.5, you know, 0.2 hours. See, this fan here comes on with the key. That's for the hydraulic cooler, and it really moves some air. So I imagine with that and the other fan, we'll probably be getting enough out. But, you know, turn the key off, shuts the voltmeter off. So we're gonna wire those other lights in with that, so that way it all shuts off. Alright, so what I'm doing here is just getting this plate cut to be you know, the size I want it, and then I'm just cleaning up all the edges and everything. So that's that. Now just getting ready to drill these corner mounting holes. What I ended up trying to do is I tried to tap it, and I don't know if my tap sucked or whatever, but at the end of the day I ended up just drilling holes all the way through and then putting a 1/4 inch nut with like a nylon nut on there to hold everything with lock washers. So that's what I ended up doing. It was pretty thick metal and it just didn't want to tap, so that's what I did there. Alright, so the other thing I'm kind of doing in here is I already pre-made some battery cables or whatever. Some thicker, I think it's a number 6 gauge. And I just have one of those crimping tools you just like put on your vise and put your end in there, and then you just take like a hammer or something and you just slam it down in there. It works pretty good. I'm gonna kind of include that in like the next video, just show you how it works. And it's really simple, and it makes like a lot cheaper than trying to buy cables that already have ends on them that are the length you want them. You can just make them whatever length you need them. So that's what I'm kind of doing on here, feeding this stuff in and getting all this stuff set up. It was kind of nice to make this plate up pre it going in. Just all the bolts are already drilled, tapped, and everything's in there the way it needs to be. So pretty nice, and worked out pretty well. Alright, so I got this plate mounted in here, you can see. Got the bolts, the spacers holding it up off the thing. And got the relay mounted. Got my wires in here and there going to feed up here into my switch bank. So got those. Ran. So got my battery leads all on here. Now I'll have to put them over on the battery next time, but I think for this evening that's probably gonna be pretty much it. I think next time I'm gonna probably work on getting the fan mounted, getting some of the lights. The lights I really won't be able to necessarily mount, but I need to start getting the wires routed where they're going to be. So we'll get the fans wired up, get the lights ran, get this light here swapped off there, and then work on the wiring underneath here and getting this stuff done. So slow progress, but it just takes a lot of time to get this stuff done. So it's getting there, and I'm really happy with the way this is turning out underneath here. It's just, I think it's going to be pretty clean and do the job, and also be serviceable and easy to work on. That way, if I do have any issues, it blows the fuse or trips the breaker instead of ruining everything. And then I did test this relay and temperature sensor out by hooking it all up with a battery and then just using a torch to heat up the thermostat end to get the light to come on, and then as it cooled off, the light went off. So that should be pretty much the extent of that. So got that stuff done. So I'll end up probably working on cutting this whole thing out then, getting this battery plate cut, and then keep doing the wiring. So it's a little bit of a start, but we'll keep going on it. Alright, so this is a different day, obviously. I already have the one headlight mounted. I ended up deciding to mount them down low, and for whatever reason, my microphone wasn't working for this. But so we got the one light mounted, and the way I did that was use this cheap Temu light or whatever. The brackets weren't made for it to be mounted straight back like that, so just took some 1/4 inch bolts, put a lock washer and a nylon nut, and then did another, spaced it out a bit, and then put another nut on the back side. So there's 2 nuts sandwiching it together into that metal. I ended up just putting them down here because if I would put them on the roof every time I wanted to work on this thing or bring it back into my garage, I'd have to unhook everything. And just thought, well, this is still adding some light, and I don't really plan on using it in the dark per se, but you always want to have a little light. You never know if it's going to get dark faster and you're out there trying to dig something up and you want to be able to see for safety or whatever. So that's why I ended up kind of doing it like this. Alright, I got the headlights wired up. This wire is going to be the switch leg. I used, I know, all red, which is probably not great, but where my grounds are, I did heat shrink a small bit of black on there. So I got this going to my grounding block, and then this will go up to the switch, which the feeds are up there. So not really worried about that till I have the rest of my switch legs going up there and my other wiring done. I did go ahead and get this fan figured out, so I unbolted these things here, which who knows what I'm going to do with that, if I'm going to leave them on there. They have this, I really think, to tie this piece in, because if not, it really has no structure. But this fan's set up to suck air through, so I kind of found it can fit right there. So we're gonna go ahead and get it bolted on to this plate here, and then we'll figure out how we want to notch this plate out once we have it all marked out. But it really moves some air, so I might have to get a little bit of a bigger wire to run over to that. But yeah, I think it'll work pretty good. It should draw air through the whole system, through underneath where I'm at, and then blow it out through here, help cool everything off. So that's where I'm at now. I'll get with you once I got this fan mounted and everything. Alright, so this is kind of what I got so far. It's my fan layout. I already bolted it down and kind of traced it out, and then used a socket to try to show kind of where my holes would be and roughly how big they are. So I don't know. There's only one way to find out. Just turn this puppy into Swiss cheese, and I guess it can't be worse than what it was. I mean, I don't really know how it was gonna be, but I just assumed that it was gonna get hot, so we'll go ahead and drill these holes out. Alright, that's all we're gonna get tonight. I'm gonna get my die grinder and clean these out, and I might get another step bit just to try to finish this stuff out, but that's the other side. Like I said, we'll clean it all up so it's safe and not dangerous. And I also probably should sweep my floor. There's metal everywhere, but I think that'll give a lot of airflow. And that's probably going to be pretty much it for this video. I mean, I know it might not seem like a lot got done, but we did get a lot of the electric done and figured out, you know. I think I need to get a horn for it still. I want to put a little horn on it just to alert people or whatever if you're working around people. Get their attention. Sometimes a horn's nice. So get the horn. So hopefully in the next video we can get all the electric done, including, you know, the fan mounted, everything wired up, turned on, and we'll also get that floor cut so we can get that put on. And honestly, after that gets done, we're pretty much done with everything. We have a few small odds and ends, little things, like I still need to drive this unit up, like I said, drive it up on something so we can grease the inside of it. And also the other day, those grease certs on there that go in the hydraulic lines or whatever, the grease lines, they're just finger tight. Like I literally could loosen them straight up. So we'll get that done. I did fill this thing up with hydraulic fluid the other day and tested the swing motor. And once I get all this stuff done, I'll kind of be able to show you guys the swing motor, how much of a difference it really made. Because I mean, it was before just like instant, like yank back and then just stop, and now it's really easy to go slow and gradual with it. So see how that stuff goes. Let me know what you think. I know these videos probably to some people are stupid, but I'm really trying my best to make them as good as I can. So let me know what you think, and we'll see you on the next one.